So, if you had a new YouTuber or somebody who was just about to start a YouTube channel, what piece of advice would you give them to help them be successful in that journey?
Uh, First advice is get started with what you have, even if what you have is just your smartphone. Because I think a lot of people fall into that, like, well, I've got to have this or I got to have that before I can really get going. And especially with the quality of smartphone cameras these days, there's no reason that you couldn't just start. Maybe you need to buy yourself a tripod with a clamp on it or something, but that's $15 on Amazon. Uh,
Yeah.
and from there on, the real currency of YouTube, or I think any social media platform or entertainment industry, is consistency. Like, if you're gonna make, I make videos like 6 days a week, and it's a lot of work, but I also know that it's what you have to do in order to keep front of mind in the YouTube algorithm, is front of mind in the people who watch your videos. If you drop off for a week, then you're you got to spend another couple of months to get yourself back. So consistency of, set out with a goal. I'm going to put up 3 videos a week or 1 video or 2 videos. Um, just get yourself on that consistency train. And then, like, I think you just have to think about doing what you want to do and saying the things that you want to say, as opposed to looking at somebody else. I mean, you can look to another YouTuber who does something that you like and learn a lot about how they do what they do, and emulate that maybe to a certain extent, but make sure that you're having that conversation with yourself. Is this me? I think there are a lot of tech YouTubers out there who are carbon copies of other YouTubers, and that's boring. And so you just have to be self-aware. If you're self-aware and you're really having that conversation with yourself all the time, then you're gonna start learning things and you're gonna start moving forward. But like I said, I mean, you said I've been making videos, on different levels of consistency for 7 years, but it wasn't until I really said, okay, I'm gonna make this a thing that I do, that the growth started to happen. And it's hard to do that when it's just like nobody's watching. But that's where everybody starts. Everybody starts at zero. It took me a good couple of years once I started to be consistent to get 1,000, 2,000 subscribers. And I just kept going. Good things started to happen, but it's always up and down. I know that I'm on an upswing at this point, but that upswing is gonna level out and maybe dip down again some. But then I'll have, then the next iPhones will come out, and I'll beat those things to death, and just, keep doing what I know works. Um, and I think for me, where my channel is right now, I think I'm almost to 60,000 subs, and I'm kind of like, I have an audience enough that I can start challenging myself and them with different kinds of thought processes, content, and um, I think it's really important to be self-aware in that way. I mean, having that session with Roberto Blake, you know, I made the money back from that session from the Marquez Brownlee video, like
Mhm.
like 3 or 4 times over. And it was just that Roberto has the ability to be an outsider, familiar with the channel, and look at it and say, I see these opportunities. Um, so don't be afraid to ask for that kind of help. I mean, it might seem like a scam, like, oh, I'm going to pay somebody $300 to look at my channel. What's that going to do? Well, if you're listening, it's going to do a lot. So, but you have to be listening, and you have to be ready to make the changes and not be too prideful or anything, like, oh, he's critical of this. you know, you
Yeah,
have
exactly.
you have to be able to listen. And I had misgivings about spending that kind of money on those kinds of services myself, and didn't do it for a while. And then I said, the channel's kind of leveled out here. So what can I do? And I knew Roberto, through doing Twitter and YouTube and other things. Um, and he just seemed like the right guy for me because he's a very very creative dude, and he knows a ton. Um, and I think someone who's creative was the right person for me because we look at stuff in a similar way. So I guess I'm just saying, like, always be critical and looking at what you're doing to see how it can improve or look at how it's being received. And if you keep doing that and never get, it's like, oh, I got 1,000 views, like that's awesome. I want to feel successful for a while, so I'm going to just sit here.
Right.
I've done that. I've done that, and I was afraid for a long, and I was afraid like, oh, geez, well, if I go out and try it again, like maybe it won't be as successful, and then I'll look like a dummy. And it took a, it, and I think everybody has that devil on their shoulder that says, like says those things. It's the same thing as a writer. Like you have to learn how to write without listening to the voice that's in the back of your head saying that sucks. You
Right.
know, you just have to be able to sit down and be intentional and put words on the page and trust that you are able to then make them into words that somebody would want to read. And that's the same thing with making YouTube videos. You have to sit down in front of the camera, do what it is that you can do, and know that you're working toward that goal of making it something that people will want to consume.